Brooklyn Peltz Beckham has broken his silence about his estrangement from his parents, saying he doesn't want to reconcile with his family. In a statement shared on Instagram, the 26-year-old claims he's been silent for years, adding he's not being controlled, but is standing up for himself for the first time in his life. Our correspondent Paul Kelso found Dave Beckham at today's World Economic Forum in Davos.
When your dad's one of the most laser-focused and relentless athletes in the game, failure doesn't just sting, it hits like a train. And that's exactly the kind of pressure storm Brooklyn Beckham's caught in right now. This isn't your usual family drama. It's a full-on showdown between legacy, pride, and what happens when a life built on fame meets the harsh truth of real-world results. The Beckham family's picture-perfect image, it's starting to crack, and the silence coming from their camp says everything. David Beckham, the man known for discipline and control, has been quiet, but that quiet feels heavy. Brooklyn's been out here showing he's doing his own thing, saying he's carving his own lane, but David's little moves and those sharp public words tell a different story. The tension's real, no pretending about it. Behind those smooth smiles and luxury posts, there's disappointment simmering under the surface. David's not tossing insults or calling anyone out, but when he talks about owning your mistakes and earning your wins, it hits hard, like he's sending a message without saying Brooklyn's name.
David, do you have a message for Brooklyn this morning? David, you disappointed family business is being aired in public?
Coming from a man who built his whole empire with pure grind, focus, and unstoppable consistency, David's words don't sound like fatherly advice. They hit more like a verdict from a disappointed dad. Brooklyn keeps talking about independence, saying he's doing his own thing, but his path looks messy, filled with unfinished projects, half-done dreams, and chances that seem to appear just because of that Beckham last name, not his hustle. That gap between what Brooklyn shows and what's really happening has never been more obvious. While he's out here trying to prove he can stand on his own, David and Victoria have made a cold but powerful move. They've stopped shielding him. They're letting the world see the cracks up close. No filters, no soft edits. The family's focus has clearly shifted, and it's...
Well, whilst Sir David Beckham didn't comment to Paul there or directly about the controversy during an interview with CNBC about his global sports programme partnership, he did say that sometimes parents have to let their children make mistakes on social media.
Easy to see where the spotlight's shining now. They're backing the kids who are out there grinding for real. Romeo Beckham's killing it in the fashion scene. Front rows, big campaigns, walking major runways like a seasoned pro. And Cruz Beckham? He's moving fast in the music world, booking gigs, dropping tracks, and putting in serious hours to prove he's not just riding the family name. And while no one in the Beckham clan is saying much about Brooklyn's claims, their actions spill the truth loud and clear. That open love and public support for Romeo and Cruz, it's no accident, it's calculated. That's classic David Beckham playbook right there.
I've always spoke about, social media and the power of social media, for the good and for the bad. The bad we've talked about with what kids can access these days, and it can be dangerous. But what I've found personally, especially with my kids as well, use it for the right reasons. Yeah. I've been able to use my platform and my following, for UNICEF. And it's been the biggest tool to make people aware of what's going on around the world for children. And I've tried to do the same. I've tried to do the same with my children to educate them.
Strategic, silent, but sharp. Whether it's football, business, or how he's shaping his kids' futures. David Beckham's motto has always been the same. Show up, work hard, take the hits, and finish strong. No excuses, no shortcuts. He's the kind of man who believes the world doesn't wait for anyone who quits halfway. Sadly, Brooklyn's story turned into the opposite of that. He started with football, the Beckham family legacy. He had every door open, elite academies, world-class coaches, the kind of setup kids dream about. But after all those golden chances, it just didn't click. He never made it past the youth level. No contract, no breakthrough, no big...
They make mistakes. Children are allowed to make mistakes. That's how they learn. So that's what I try to teach my kids. But, you have to sometimes let them make those mistakes as well.
Career moment, just quiet disappointment. Then came his next big try, photography. Once again, huge opportunities fell straight into his hands. Major fashion collabs, a glossy photo book, top-notch programs. It all looked promising at first, with fast hype and flashy praise, but just like before, the excitement fizzled out. Projects launched loud, got attention, and then vanished into silence. And right when everyone thought he'd step back to figure things out, boom! Another sudden pivot. This time, Brooklyn Beckham popped up as a chef, and the internet went wild. Cooking shows, viral clips, perfectly staged kitchen shots. His rise as a so-called celebrity chef exploded across social media, making everyone wonder what his next move would be. Even though he was blowing up online, it wasn't always for the best reasons. Brooklyn openly admitted he had zero formal training, no culinary degree, no real kitchen grind, nothing. Yet somehow, big media pushed him like he was some food prodigy, landing him on high-profile shows and major platforms. But once the critics came swinging, calling out his so-called skills,
and he mentions his father, Sir David's 50th birthday, saying that although the couple travelled to London to try to spend quality time with him,
things went downhill fast. Instead of clapping back with real talent and proving them wrong, Brooklyn just faded out and, once again, switched lanes. Then came the next chapter, entrepreneurship. Out of nowhere, he's launching a hot sauce brand, teasing design projects, and even hinting about opening a restaurant. Every new venture got hyped like this would finally be the one, the big dream he'd stick with. But the pattern stayed the same. Excitement in the beginning, and then silence. Fans started catching on. There was no steady growth, no evolution, just another project with more flash than follow-through. At that point, the Nepo Baby label stopped sounding like a mean nickname and started feeling like the truth. People weren't seeing effort. They were seeing access. Brooklyn's had every door wide open for him. Money, exposure, connections, everything most dream of. But what's missing, according to critics, and honestly, maybe even to his own parents, is follow-through. And that's exactly why David Beckham's recent interviews hit so hard. When he talks about discipline, finishing what you start, and earning respect through real effort, it feels personal, like a message not just for the world, but aimed straight at his oldest son. When David Beckham was asked about raising his kids and how he handles their mistakes, he didn't sugarcoat a thing or rush to defend Brooklyn. Instead, he spoke straight from experience.
he refused all of our attempts unless it was at his big birthday party with 100 guests and cameras at every corner, under the condition that Nicola wasn't invited. Well, Laura Beeching, the founder of the crisis management agency Honest London, said she'd be surprised if the Beckhams say anything else about the row, given how big their brand image is.
About discipline, accountability, and owning your choices. His words hit sharp. Messing up is part of being human, sure, but that doesn't mean you get a free pass. Every action has a price, and that's a lesson David clearly wants his kids to understand. He made it clear that independence isn't about making loud statements or chasing viral moments. It's about proving yourself consistently over time. Meanwhile, Brooklyn's been calling his distance from the family freedom, but the truth? He's still living comfortably inside the safety net that his last name built. Brooklyn Beckham's lifestyle screams luxury, no doubt about that. But when it comes to actual work, it's a gamble every time. His career identity, still a mystery. And now there's a quiet question floating around, one that people whisper, and one David might be wondering himself. What happens if Nicola Peltz walks away? Because let's be real, Brooklyn's entire world is tied to that marriage. Emotionally, socially, financially, even professionally, Nicola's influence is everywhere. Her family isn't just rich, they're powerhouse rich. The Peltz name carries serious weight, connections, stability, and influence that match the Beckham brand in strength and status. But if that relationship ever ended, what would Brooklyn really have left? No solid career, no steady income, no clear direction, just the comfort built by others. And that's the uncomfortable truth everyone's thinking, but no one's saying out loud. Nobody close to Brooklyn wants to say it out loud, but the whispers are getting louder. Critics can't stop comparing him to his brothers, and honestly, the difference hits hard. Romeo Beckham picked his lane, fashion, and never looked back. He trained like a pro, stayed consistent through the grind, took hits from critics, and came back stronger every single season. Romeo didn't lean on the family name. He earned his spot with sweat and focus, no shortcuts, no excuses. Then there's Cruz Beckham, carrying that same fire but in music. Instead of bouncing from one idea to another, he locked in, writing songs, performing live, and touring to build something real. No fake hype, no quick exits, just steady hustle and progress that's actually paying off. Cruz is out there building his own name, step by step, proving he's not just another celebrity kid playing pretend. And when Cruz or Romeo hit a new milestone, their parents show it off, loud and proud. Victoria Beckham's posts about her sons aren't just cute mom moments, they're statements. Every photo, every caption sends a message. These are the kids putting in the work, earning their shine, and showing what real drive looks like. Those posts aren't just family love, they're signals. Signals about what the Beckhams truly respect: hard work, consistency, and grit. It's clear who's walking the talk in that family and who's still trying to figure out how to keep up. You can bet Brooklyn noticed the shift, and so did everyone watching online. As his accusations started making waves, the rest of the Beckham crew stood tall, tight as ever. They showed up united at big events, owned the spotlight at Fashion Week, and celebrated real wins with confidence. Their silence said it all. No need for statements when your actions speak louder. It was a bold reminder that life doesn't pause for anyone. It moves on, and it rewards the ones who actually grind for their success. David Beckham's never been about shortcuts, never. His whole legacy was built through grit, focus, and pushing forward even when things got rough. To him, success isn't something passed down like a family heirloom. It's earned day by day through consistency and hard lessons. And that's exactly where the harsh truth lands. Brooklyn just hasn't earned it yet. He talks about wanting independence, wanting freedom from his parents' shadow, but real independence takes effort and accountability. Because here's the real talk. Freedom without responsibility isn't independence. It's comfort disguised as growth. Maybe that's what cuts deepest for everyone involved. This isn't just a small family disagreement, it's a clash of values, a generational showdown between hard-earned success and easy access. David Beckham's not the kind to call names or go public with family drama, but one thing's clear. He's standing his ground, and he's not backing down for anyone. What makes this whole situation explosive isn't just what Brooklyn said, it's how David and Victoria responded. No angry press statements, no teary interviews, no messy public drama. Instead, they hit back in the coldest, most powerful way possible. They said nothing. Their silence, their success, and their unity spoke louder than any headline ever could, showing the world exactly where they stand. David and Victoria didn't just go quiet. They doubled down on what they've stood for since day one. Loyalty, discipline, and non-stop hard work. They made it crystal clear who in their family truly lives by those values and who's still struggling to catch up. That silence everyone's talking about? Some call it cold, others call it calculated. But in the Beckham household, silence is the language. It's their way of sending a message without saying a single word. And let's be real, David Beckham knows how the media game works better than almost anyone on the planet. He survived decades of scandals, harsh headlines, and public judgment. If he wanted to kill this drama, he could have done it in one interview, one emotional quote, and boom, story over. But he didn't do that. Instead, he chose to stay silent. And that silence screams confidence, not fear. Because when Brooklyn aired his frustrations, he didn't drop any wild secrets or expose some deep family scandal. What spilled out was way more personal, a buildup of resentment, frustration, and missed chances that's been growing for years. And while Brooklyn's words got clicks, David's silence hit harder, reminding everyone who's really in control of the Beckham legacy. This isn't about control anymore, it's about consequences. Brooklyn's been trying to frame his story as one of freedom, claiming he's finally breaking away, carving his own lane, and becoming his own man. But when you actually look at the timeline, it doesn't quite line up. He didn't step back to chase a solid career, build a business, or execute some big plan. He just pulled away and labeled it freedom. There's emotional distance, public distance, and even symbolic distance. But let's be honest, distance isn't direction. And for someone like David Beckham, that difference means everything. His entire career was built under blinding pressure and constant criticism. And instead of running from it, he owned it. He turned the world's hate into motivation, sharpened himself through every failure, and kept pushing until no one could doubt his name again. That's the standard he lives by, the standard he expects his son to meet. No excuses, no shortcuts, just consistent grind. David knows what it's like to be dragged through the mud and still come out standing tall. This man was booed by his own country, ripped apart by the media, and blamed for losses that broke national pride. Yet he never folded. He took every hit, learned from it, and turned that pain into power. And that's the kind of resilience he's been trying to teach Brooklyn all along. So what did David Beckham do when the world turned against him? He didn't run. He fought back. He trained harder, stayed longer on the field, and rebuilt himself from the ground up. That's the mindset he lives by, the one he bleeds for. So when he watches Brooklyn jump from football to photography, then to cooking, then branding, without sticking to anything long enough to truly master it, it's not just frustrating, it's heartbreaking. The issue isn't that Brooklyn failed. Failure happens to everyone. The real problem is that he keeps quitting, switching lanes, rebranding, and somehow still expecting praise every time he makes a comeback. What burns the most is the lack of endurance behind all that talk about passion and drive. Even the projects Brooklyn's still pushing rely more on visibility than skill. Those cooking videos that go viral, they pop off because of who he is, not what he's cooking. His products sell thanks to the power of the Beckham name, not because of their quality or the grind behind them. The appearances he lands come through connections, not raw achievement. And while nepotism might open doors fast, it can't keep them open forever. That's exactly why the Nepo baby tag hits him so hard. It's not just internet noise anymore, it's becoming his reality. Brooklyn's not the first celebrity kid to ride the wave of a famous last name, but he's starting to look like the clearest example of what happens when privilege runs out and persistence never showed up. Other people in Brooklyn's position, actors, designers, musicians, entrepreneurs, they pick a lane and grind hard. They fail in public, learn from it, and show growth with every new project. But Brooklyn, he keeps smashing the reset button like he's got a safety net that'll always catch him. And that safety net isn't built from his own hustle. It's stitched together from his parents' fame, his wife's wealth, and the comfort of knowing that failure never hits him the way it hits everyone else. And that's where the spotlight swings right back to Nicola Peltz. Brooklyn's made it very clear. His marriage isn't just part of his life, it is his life right now. He gives Nicola credit for his peace, his confidence, and what he calls his independence. But behind the smiles and couple goals, even critics, and let's be honest, maybe even his parents, see something risky forming. Because independence that leans completely on someone else isn't independence at all. It's dependence dressed up as freedom. If Nicola's the one holding up the emotional balance, providing the financial cushion and shielding him socially, then where does Brooklyn's true autonomy come from? What happens if that relationship changes, hits a rough patch, or ends altogether? That's not gossip. It's a fair and uncomfortable question. Because when your entire sense of stability depends on someone else's strength, you're not standing on your own. You're just living in their shadow, hoping the light never fades. David Beckham didn't earn his freedom by living in anyone's shadow. He built it, brick by brick, failure by failure, win by win. Every step of his journey was earned through pure grind, focus, and consistency. That's what real independence looks like. Standing on your own, even when the world's against you. And that's exactly why the gap between Brooklyn and his younger brothers feels so sharp. It's the difference between comfort and commitment. Take Romeo Beckham, for example. He didn't just stroll into fashion and chill in the spotlight. He worked his way up. Season after season, city after city, he kept showing up, walking those runways, and proving he's not just a famous last name. The fashion world doesn't hand out mercy or second chances out of pity. They only call you back when you deliver. Romeo earned his seat at that table through consistency, not connections. Then there's Cruz Beckham. He could have treated music like a hobby, but instead, he treated it like a craft. He's writing songs, rehearsing nonstop, performing live and touring, slowly building something real that can actually last. No gimmicks, no viral stunts, no fake hype, just real work and real progress. So when David and Victoria cheer for Romeo and Cruz online, it's not just proud parent energy, it's strategic. They're showing the world which of their kids are actually putting in the work, proving that the Beckham legacy isn't about fame, it's about follow-through. The Beckhams aren't being quiet by accident. They're quietly showing the world which of their kids are earning their names, not just living off them. This isn't favoritism, it's alignment. David and Victoria aren't picking favorites based on love. They're standing behind the ones who show up, grind hard, and stay consistent. They reward effort, not excuses, and Brooklyn sees every bit of it. And maybe that's exactly why his frustration finally exploded in such a public, messy way. When Brooklyn accused his parents of controlling the story and putting image first, he wasn't totally wrong, but he wasn't completely right either. Yes, the Beckhams care about image, they always have. But in their world, image doesn't mean fake smiles or filters. It means performance, discipline, and results. In the Beckham family, you don't say who you are, you prove it. Brooklyn, though, wanted recognition without the receipts, praise without progress, freedom without accountability. But David Beckham doesn't play that game. He's built his entire life on showing, not telling, and that's why the most powerful part of this entire saga isn't in what David said. It's in what he didn't. He didn't trash his son. He didn't deny his feelings. He didn't even call him out directly. Instead, David delivered a quiet masterclass in emotional control, proving that strength doesn't always roar. He reminded everyone that kids make mistakes, and those mistakes are part of growing up. That wasn't coldness, it was context. In just a few subtle moves, David flipped the narrative, turning Brooklyn's outburst from a public scandal into a powerful life lesson about maturity, accountability, and what it really means to grow up under a legacy that demands results. David made it clear that one heated moment doesn't define who Brooklyn is, but it also doesn't erase accountability. You can't burn bridges and call it growth. That's not maturity, that's avoidance. And while Brooklyn stays quiet, calling his silence strength, his actions paint a different picture. They show a man still searching for balance, for direction, for a purpose that's truly his own. Until that day comes, the criticism won't stop, because the public isn't judging Brooklyn like everyone else. They're not comparing him to random peers. They're measuring him against the legacy he was born into. Brooklyn Beckham isn't being judged by ordinary standards. He's being weighed against privilege, access, and the massive head start that came with his last name. And right now, the results just don't match the resources. That's the harsh truth people can't ignore. David Beckham understands that feeling better than anyone. He's lived it. He spent decades under a microscope, battling critics, doubters, and brutal headlines, proving himself over and over until the world had to respect him. He didn't inherit his reputation. He earned it through relentless work and resilience. David learned early that respect isn't passed down like a trophy. It's built under pressure, forged through failure, and tested by time. And that's the lesson hanging over Brooklyn right now. If he wants the world to see him as more than a famous name, he's got to show the same grit his father did. Because legacy might open doors, but only hard work keeps them open. David Beckham probably hoped his oldest son would figure it out on his own. That real success doesn't come from comfort, it comes from consistency. But instead of growth, Brooklyn chose distance. And distance without stability, that's a dangerous game to play. This isn't just family tension anymore. It's a reckoning. This is what it looks like when privilege finally runs out of excuses and hard work becomes the only currency that counts. The truth is, Brooklyn still has time to flip the whole story. He can lock in, stay focused, and build something that's his. Not borrowed, not branded, not handed down. But that takes humility, patience, and a whole lot of quiet grind when no one's watching. No flashy headlines, no viral hype, just real effort behind closed doors. And until that day comes, David Beckham's silence says everything. Calm, steady, and impossible to ignore. Because inside the Beckham household, love might be unconditional, but respect, that's earned. One step, one failure, and one comeback at a time. Brooklyn still has something to prove, not just to the world, but to himself. So now it's your turn. What do you think? Is Brooklyn just misunderstood, or is he not putting in the work to match his talk? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more raw deep dives into the celebrity drama shaking up the spotlight. Stay tuned, because this story's far from over.